I got a question for you. Are you hosting your podcast on SoundCloud? If you are, you might want to start thinking about looking for an alternative. I want to say hi to my friend Tish. I see Tish is in the audience. Thanks so much for coming. SoundCloud is a site that a lot of podcasters gravitated to because SoundCloud has this really cute player, and I think it's really meant for musicians. Their core audience was musicians that wanted to have a place where they could put their indie music. And they started off using SoundCloud, and as time went on, because podcasting is so popular, the folks at SoundCloud realized that they could also offer podcasting to podcasters, and they're a host, and they will host your files. And if you designate them to be your host for your podcast over on iTunes, then this is when you got to get a little nervous, because I want to read you a headline, and this came from TechCrunch. The headline from TechCrunch on this article was from July the 12th. SoundCloud sinks as leaks say layoffs might buy little time. And a previous article from TechCrunch also said the company announced that it is laying off 173 employees and it's closing offices in San Francisco and London. This is a major deal, guys, because SoundCloud's been around for quite some time. But the fact that they're closing offices, and they've actually been in financial trouble off and on. And hey, Larry, how you doing? I'm so glad to see you. And what I want to say to you, if you use SoundCloud, you want to use SoundCloud if you're a podcaster, if you're a person who wants their podcast to gain traction, be successful. Maybe you're using it to promote your other ventures, like if you have a business, or if you have a blog, or if you have a YouTube channel, you're using your podcast to also help promote that. Well, I got to tell you, you don't want to use SoundCloud unless you're using it as an alternate host. You can use it as an alternate host as long as your main feed, your RSS feed, is going from a more reputable, more stable host. And if you've been around me for any time period, you've known that I've always recommended Libsyn. That's Libsyn, short for Liberated Syndication. And this is the first time you ever heard of SoundCloud. I know some who do use it, yes. And I also recommend Blueberry. But those are not the two alternatives. The latest on SoundCloud I heard was some rapper who wanted SoundCloud had a talk, and they were going to something. I missed it last. Really long comments. Remember, I'm on mobile, so the really long comments kind of break them up into two, and then that way they'll stay up on the screen longer. Okay, Larry? Thank you. So there are rappers. There is a rapper. And actually, I didn't even hear about this TechCrunch article. I don't read TechCrunch. I do stay up on the podcasting news. I follow Dave Jackson. I go to Ask the Podcast Coach. And I also listen to The Feed, which is the official podcast from Libsyn, hosted by Elsie Escobar and Rob Walsh. I actually met Rob in person too at Social Media Marketing World. He's pretty cool. So they have been reporting on this whole SoundCloud deal. Also, Daniel J. Lewis has been reporting on it the whole time. I mean, they've been they've been on shaky ground for a long time. Yeah, you've heard of those names. Yes, they were all over on that old site. Okay, so the deal is that I know a lot of folks don't want to pay for their podcast hosting. And SoundCloud was an option that you could use if you wanted a free host. Now, of course, I'm going to say this before I even get into the two alternatives that I want to introduce you to. Ugor, hello, my friend. I see you more on Instagram. You are really killing it on Instagram, buddy. I got to give you a high five. So should have been more receptive to podcast producers. Oh, SD, I'm assuming you mean SoundCloud. That's a great name. Yeah, Ugor. SoundCloud was very receptive to podcast producers. They really were. They really went after the market. They started off as just having what they called a beta program for podcasters. And Ugor equals lucky man. All right, well, that's what it means. Okay, you got that. And then eventually they came out of beta after about 2 years. And this is where Dave Jackson has been keeping me up on this, because he's been saying for a long time, like, when are they going to come out of beta? When are they going? And then they finally came out of beta. But I don't know. I think their business model may be a little flawed. I'm not the experts on business models, guys. I just know the handwriting is on the wall. If you have a podcast, I'm going to give you two alternatives. Now, mind you, these alternatives will be for those folks who are just testing the waters of podcasting. They're free alternatives, or they have one of them has a free option, or you can upgrade. But I still recommend, my number one and number two recommendations are Libsyn. That's Libsyn. And that's for all of the top shows, the independent ones, not the NPR type shows, not the procasters. To me, SoundCloud is only an alternative destination to share your content. And thank you so much, Byron. I think this is your first time commenting here in the live stream. Absolutely. It's a secondary place that you can upload your files. I even have some of my files over there. My daughter and I run a podcasting meetup group called the Philadelphia Podcasting Meetup Group. And if any of you guys are listening to this, and I'll probably post a replay over in our Facebook group, please, 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 I implore you, move your show now. Don't wait until it's too late, because I would hate to see your sad face if anything goes wrong with SoundCloud. Tish and Larry, they're here. They can attest to you that sometimes these platforms will shut down without warning. Hey, hi, how you doing? Yay, it's game. They will shut down without warning. So you're getting fair warning now. Now, like I said, if you're a hobby podcaster, you're just testing the waters, you just want to dabble around in podcasting. Byron even knows about it. Byron Friday said, yep, indeed. So these two alternatives are for those guys. The person who's just testing the waters. I'm doing great. I'm having a wonderful, wonderful weekend too. Yay, it's game. Or yay, it's game. All right, so with that, all that said, all my disclaimers out there, use Libsyn or Blueberry. And Blueberry is without the E, so that's BLUBRRY. Okay? You like my podcast? Yes, I revived the podcast. And I use one of these alternatives. By the way, that's the Miss Ileane Speaks podcast. And you can find that at ileanesmith.com/podcast. And one of these alternatives that I'm going to introduce you to today is one that I use to relaunch the podcast. Actually, I use both of them. It's a long story, but and I don't want to get into that because I don't want to confuse you. But here's the two, and I'm going to start with the one that could be used by anybody who's listening to this. Even if you are a serious podcaster, you just don't want to use Libsyn. I know people have said that to me. I just don't like Libsyn. Whatever. Okay. So here's your alternative. They have a free, but you can also update. Or, it's freemium. In other words, you can upgrade. Okay. And that's Spreaker. Spreaker. Now, Spreaker has this really cool interface. They have a player that's similar to SoundCloud that you can embed on your blog. It looks really pretty. You can have your artwork there. It's a community over there. People can follow you on Spreaker, and you can build an audience over there. It may be a little slow going compared to this other alternative that I'll tell you about later. But one of the things that I've been using Spreaker for, and Larry Snow and Tish Rosales, who are here, know that I have been using it to record my podcast, and I can do it from mobile. And that's the podcast that's only for my patrons over on Patreon. And okay, so if you wanted to be a patron, you would just go over to patreon.com/Ileane. And that's a private RSS feed. Some people would say that's not really a podcast because it's not listed in iTunes. Okay, fair game. But one of the things that I like about Spreaker is that you can go live with audio. Live, just like right now, instead of me opening up the YouTube app, I could have opened up the Spreaker app and gone live and just use audio, and then you can add little sound effects and little clips and things in there with your podcast. And I really like that. That's really cool. If people are there while you're live, they can chat with you and give you feedback and all that. So Spreaker, you can also upgrade for more storage. Now, when you get into podcasting, and I have tutorials here on YouTube to give you some things that you need to think about before you start your podcast. What are the benefits of podcasting? I'll put them all in a playlist. Actually, the playlist is called Podcasting Blitz, and that's here on YouTube. And so there's other people's videos in there as well. I have some tutorials in there from Pat Flynn and from Cliff Ravenscraft, who's the podcast answer man, and myself. And, we talk about the benefits of using podcasting and how you can use it to connect with your audience and so forth. Okay? So let's see, what else do I have here on my... All right, so Spreaker. You can also use Spreaker as your RSS feed that gets submitted to iTunes. Because let me tell you, Spreaker is very stable. My friend Rob Greenlee, he's been in podcasting. He's probably been in podcasting longer than any of the people that I just mentioned today. In fact, he's been podcasting longer than anybody I know. And that I know personally, okay? And Rob Greenlee works over there. And do you know anything about Mixlr? Mixlr is cool. All right, yes, I know about Mixlr. And the reason why Mixlr won't make this list as an alternative is because Mixlr doesn't host your files. Okay, bye, take care. And thanks for coming. Yay, it's game. Mixlr will let you use their interface, and they have a really snazzy interface, and people can listen live, but they don't host your files. You can't go back over there and listen to, like yesterday, Dave Jackson and Jim Collison, they do the Ask the Podcast Coach. They do multicasting out to YouTube as well as Mixlr. If you want to listen to that podcast from yesterday, you got to go to YouTube or wait for them to upload it to iTunes. You can't go watch it listen to it over on Mixlr now. They don't host the files. I do listen to Dr. Vibe there. Yes, they don't host your files. So that's the problem with Mixlr. They have a very nice chat room. Well, the purpose of Mixlr is to use it for the community. See, this is one of the issues with podcasting throughout the years, okay? I'm not going to talk about podcasting right now, today, but podcasting's been out for 12 years. Adam Curry and I forget the other guy's name, invented podcasting. And then later on, iTunes and Steve Jobs said, okay, we'll come out with the iPod. But Apple didn't invent podcasting. They just made the iPod. Adam Curry, Curry, invented podcasting along with the other fellow whose name I can't recall right at this moment, but it will definitely be in the description of this video after the fact. Okay, so the problem is that because of the format, because the way it's hosted over on iTunes, because you need a podcatcher to listen and all of that, part of the problem is the engagement. So this is why, like right now, I'm live here on YouTube. I have my two best buds here, Larry Snow and Tish Rosales, okay? So if nobody else comes or nobody else ever watches this, I'm good. Okay? Because these are my core. This is my core, my tribe, my peoples, right? But because of the way podcasting works with the RSS feed and all of that, you can have a live audience. So this is what Mixlr. Is it John Dvorak? No, it's not John Dvorak. But that's that's close. Very close. Yo, T and L in the house. Ileane is correct. Thank you. You know what? The reason why I can't remember the other fella's name, and I know it, I just can't think of it right now, is because he's not as active. Still, Adam Curry is still very active with the community. He's even working on a device right now that people can use to make their podcasting workflow easier. He's got a Kickstarter a Kickstarter going on for it. And I will also add those notes in the description later on. But right now, can't think of the name of the thing that he has. But anyway, so, and John Dvorak is a very popular podcaster, and that's probably why you were thinking of that, Tish. So, Mixlr solved that problem by bringing that chat element. They have an amazing chat room over on Mixlr, and that's the benefit. You know, Larry says it's silly. It's really not, because it's not that many places where you can interact live and interact with your audience and actually get that live feedback, even though it's all in text, because it's a text chat. So that's a great segue to bring us over into the other alternative that I want to tell you about. And I bet Larry Snow can guess the other alternative, because I've been over there every day for the past week and just podcasting my little heart out. Excuse me while I take a sip of water. Let's see if Larry can type in the answer. I need to have my glasses on. Anchor. Anchor FM. Anchor FM is your other alternative to SoundCloud. And right now, as of July 2017, it's absolutely free. And I relaunched my podcast using Anchor. Okay, I'm not talking about the private one for my patrons. I'll still have that. That's still going to be going through Spreaker. But the one that's right now in iTunes and in the Google Play Store, it's just Miss Ileane Speaks Podcast, is being recorded over on Anchor. And I'm going to tell you the best thing about Anchor of based on everything that we've just talked about. And then I'll tell you the bad thing about it. I'm going to tell you the good and the bad, the pros and the cons. Okay? Because I like it. I really, really like it. And you're going to see a lot more people talking about it. Roberto Blake's already done a video about it. Brian Fanzo's mentioned it in his podcast. They interviewed Gary Vee. Joe Com has been coming over there. Vincenzo Landino. You know, all of the folks that we always hang around with in our live streaming world have been over there. So, so the good thing about Anchor FM, and you can find me at anchor.fm/Ileane, Ileane, is that you do have that feedback. That feedback that you can't get on any other platform. My podcast hosted on iTunes. If I want somebody to call in to my show, you know what they have to do? They have to either have a phone number. I have to give out a phone number for them to, and a lot of podcasters do that. Or they have to record a little snippet of audio and attach it to an email, because I could give out my email on my show. Or they have to use my SpeakPipe page, and that's speakpipe.com/Ileane. Okay? So, yeah, you kind of pretty much have to jump through hoops to leave someone audio feedback. Audio feedback. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, I can't remember which one it was, where they were talking about leaving a review on iTunes. And, it was the Ask the Podcast Coach. That was yesterday. And how difficult it is. You have to tell your audience exactly what to do. You pretty much have to give them a whole tutorial on how to leave feedback and give a review, because people will complain. I left a review over on iTunes, but it never showed up. Yeah, because you got to be sure you're logged in, because you could go through that whole rigmarole of typing in a review for someone, and you might even put your name in that review so they know that you're the one who left it. A lot of times people will run contests so people can, get more reviews and ratings over on iTunes. But if you're not logged in, if you're that listener and you want to leave your favorite podcast or review, if you're not logged in to iTunes when you leave that review, it's lost. And people don't, you're not thinking, oh, maybe I need to log in. I mean, like I use iTunes all the time because I actually, it's a long story, but I use my iTunes. That's one of the ways that I actually get my podcast downloaded onto CDs so I can listen to them. Okay? We're not going to go into why that is. But most people don't even ever they're listening to their podcast on their phones. And this is the beauty of Anchor, is that you're on your phone. I have had more feedback and more interaction and more call-ins. I've listened to a podcast recently that admonished listeners for not giving them a rating or give them money. Well, Larry, shame on you for even listening to that lousy podcast. No, I'm just kidding. It's not shame on you. You didn't know they were going to do that. Who does that? That's why they're not getting no reviews, because they don't know how to treat their listeners. But let me tell you about Anchor really quickly. Hey, Yankees, you made it to my live. Yankees Outdoor. Hoo-hoo. You will love Anchor.fm, Yankees. And here's why. Here's why you guys will like it. Remember, I told you I'm going to tell you the good and the bad. Let's start with the good. The good, with the way the interface works, super duper easy. You go over there, you sign up, you push a button, and you can hold it and record, or you can swipe up like we always do on all these other apps, and it'll continue to record. You get 5 minutes. You can add clips. You can connect it to your Spotify or your music app, your Apple Music app on your phone, and you can add music into your show. Only the people on Anchor can hear that music, not on when you upload it to iTunes, which Anchor does for you, by the way. And that's one of the other really good pluses about Anchor. When you decide that you want to use them for your podcast host, they do everything. They send you an email and say, oh, your show is submitted. So there's, good and bad about that. But if you just want to get it up there, it's easy. All right. So here's the thing. You're going to follow people. You're going to see the people that you follow in what they call the carousel. And when you're on that carousel, you'll see a little button at the bottom of their page as you're listening to what they've said in their Anchor. And you can call in. You push that button and boom, you call in and leave your feedback. You don't have to go to SpeakPipe. You don't have to leave the page. You don't have to record it and upload it and then send it in an email. It's so easy that it's almost as easy as making a phone call, and it might even be easier depending upon what which phone you have. So see, one of the other ways that podcasters used to be able to give each other feedback, or that listeners were able to give podcasters feedback, was with an app called Clamor. Now, if you don't know about Clamor, just know that it was a way that you could share out a little snippet of an episode. Well, guess what? Clamor shut their doors down too. They're gone. So see, hey, what's the 411 TV? What's up, lady? Thank you for coming. I'm so glad you came. I'm going to try to show you guys this carousel on Anchor, but you know how hard it is when you're on a phone and then you're trying to show a phone. But this is what the carousel looks like. And in other words, these are the people that I follow. And if I want to, like, say, for example, here's a guy that I just met over on Anchor. His name is Avi. If I want to listen to Avi's station, I would just push this. Well, this is my Android phone, and so this phone is about to die. So, not exactly working right at the moment. Oh, I'll probably just have to push play. Yeah, no, the phone's not working good. But at least I was able to show you the interface. And, so, okay, I told you a few of the good things. I'm going to tell you at least one of the downsides. The problem with them submitting your show to iTunes is that actually they have control over your feed. Hey
everyone,
there you go.
I was on vacation
Now
in
it's
Disney World. I just got back. We are in the cab on the way home from Newark. My husband's here. How was Disney World?
It was great. It was magical.
Yeah, it was very magical. What's not so magical is that we had some temporary server issues.
Okay,
a couple weeks ago,
so let's
in
just
Anchor.
turn that down. All right, good. That was an Anchor. And I'm not even sure that was a random person. That wasn't even the person I was trying to get you guys to listen to. So that's just my Android phone. There's nothing wrong. Nothing against the app. The app works perfectly fine on iPhone and on Android. The link that Larry showed us, that will take me to sign up. It's just anchor.fm. Yep. Anchor.fm. And I don't have like an affiliate link or anything like that. It's not that kind of app. Because it's free. It's totally free right now. So get in on it, because honestly, this is a really good thing, guys. This is super simple, especially like, say, for somebody who wasn't even really thinking about podcasting. Because once you record what they call a segment, all right, you can record a 5-minute segment. Of course, it can be shorter. You can add in the little interludes, like the little clips and the little sound effects in between. You get a choice of about 10, or maybe there's 12 different audio tracks of background music to play behind your voice, which is one of the things I absolutely love about it, because that way, if I start breathing or you don't hear any of that, because this audio track you can add and you can pick different, to set the mood or the tone of your talk. And they have upbeat ones, and then they have really quiet ones, and then they have ones that sound like you're, annoyed or you're on the treadmill. Oh my gosh, it's so super duper easy, and it is truly a community. It's a community over there, and I really, really like it. And you just call into my channel. Thank you so much, Larry. I will definitely be playing that. And that's good timing because the clips stay up for 24 hours. Okay. I'm calling them clips, but let's call them segments because that's the terminology they use over there on Anchor. You have a segment, it stays up for 24 hours. Unless you create an episode. Hi, how are you, McBoneseye? You will love Anchor FM as well because you could give your bonsai tips, and I know that there's gardening folks over there already. I've already listened to a few gardening podcasts, and you guys, you can even, for you guys that are here on YouTube, you can even take these YouTube videos, the shorter ones that are less than 5 minutes, or you can trim down one, and you can upload that, or you can split it, because remember, you can do 5-minute segments, but you can do as many 5-minute segments as you want, and you can split it out, and it would just play right behind each other, and convert that MP4 that you can download from YouTube, just convert it into MP3. I showed that on a YouTube video. I'm sure it's called How to Convert Your Live Streams into a Podcast. And so, like I said, that call-in feature is awesome. You have the background music, you have the interludes, but here's the other downside of them hosting your podcast. When it's played on iTunes, actually their bumper plays in front of your show. And it'll say you're listening to a show that's been recorded using Anchor. Anchor FM is the easiest way to create a podcast or something to that effect. And then it plays again at the end. Very pleasant young man who says it. I don't know if they hired a voice actor. And, it's short, it's to the point. It doesn't go on and on. It doesn't, it's not overly hype. But people are listening to your podcast and the first thing they hear is someone else's voice. Now, hey, like I said, they're hosting your files for free. So this is what you get out of it. And he said, I'm going to hang there with you. Don't want to miss anything. And I'll check it out. Yes, Yankees, you'll love it. And McBoneseye, you will love it as well. Honestly, it's a community and it's really easy. It's not going to take time out of your day. They also have a web clipper. Now, both of these platforms, Spreaker and, Tish, you'll love it too. Spreaker and Anchor both have a way that you can upload from the web. So you could record something. That's what I was saying. You could take your YouTube videos, the shorter ones, and convert them and upload it to your show. Now, guys, because I'm, kind of like advising you to go over to Anchor, you might not want that to be your first show. You might want to introduce yourself to the community, go over there, listen to other people's clips. Nobody really wants to just interact with your old content, your repurposed content. Because honestly, I've heard people complaining about, and it's always the marketers that come over and they want to upload an interview they did and they put on, But it's okay in moderation. A clip here, like I did yesterday, I did a show which I turned into an episode. And you know what? I got sidetracked. I didn't finish this point. I got to tell you guys this. When you record a segment, you don't have to include it in your episode that goes up to iTunes. You have the choice at the end of the 24 hours or whenever you're ready, right? You've recorded 2 or 3 segments. You added in a couple of little interludes, the little sound bites in between your segments. And maybe you had a call in and you were able to add that into your show. Because when somebody calls in, they're really giving you permission to go ahead and add it into your show. Everybody over there knows you could be on iTunes, right? So once you'll get a list when you're ready to make an episode, you hit the episode button and you'll get a list, and you just check off what you want in the show and what you don't. Now, for me, because I'm a little tech savvy, I know enough to be dangerous, I took those episodes and edited off that little bumper and then uploaded them to Spreaker, because I actually have a paid account at Spreaker. Okay, so that way my podcast is still going in two places, although the one that's up in iTunes is coming from Anchor. And I don't mind that. And Yankees Outdoor Adventure, just sub to your channel and we'll check it out. Okay, great, thanks. You know, I don't mind that there's a bumper there. I'm just warning you guys about that. Ileane Dangerous. My hashtagologist Tish has given me a new hashtag. You know, I just want to warn you guys, because I know people, they get over and they complain. Look, what do you want from a free platform? I like the platform. They're doing something for podcasters. They're empowering people. People that are like, oh, podcast is too techy. Oh, I don't want to have to get a mic. Oh, I don't want to have to edit. You don't do any editing. There's no editing. Okay? You don't need a mic. Like right now, hey Carla, have I talked about Anchor? I'm talking about Anchor. I'm on Anchor. I've been relaunched my podcast through Anchor, Carla. You got here a little late, but that's what I've been blabbering on about for the last 36 minutes. Mostly Anchor, but I also talked about Spreaker. Spreaker is the other alternative to SoundCloud. So, guys, I want you, if you're on SoundCloud, run for the hills. If you're really serious about your podcast, like I mentioned earlier, that I have friends in my Philadelphia podcasting meetup group. If you are listening to this right now and you're in that Philadelphia podcast meetup group and SoundCloud is hosting your RSS feed that goes to iTunes, contact Dave Jackson over at Libsyn. Just go to Libsyn support and say you want to talk to Dave Jackson, and he will help you migrate your show. Now, I just offered his services. He doesn't know that, but that's what he does. That's his job. Also, you can get 1 month free hosting over at Libsyn with Dave's code, which is SOP free. That stands for School of Podcasting Free. Back to the blab memory. Sorry. Yes, so let me repeat that. Over on Libsyn, you get 1 month free. I'm going to give you Dave Jackson's code, his coupon code, SOP free. That's the coupon code to get 1 month free on Libsyn hosting. Okay? And so if you're serious about your podcast, migrate it. Dave was talking about in his Ask the Podcast Coach show yesterday, he said that's all he did all week, you know, because he works for Libsyn Support. They're running for the hills. Because, and you know, I'm going to repeat this really quickly for the folks that got here late. SoundCloud, this is a headline from TechCrunch. SoundCloud sinks as leaks say layoffs buy little time. And this is another article from TechCrunch. The company has announced that it is laying off 173 employees and it's closing offices in San Francisco and London. So the handwriting has been on the wall for a long time. SoundCloud has lost money year after year after year. Honestly, I stopped paying for the pro version of SoundCloud last week before the news. You know what, Carla? It's all your fault. You're the one who did it. If you would have kept your pro subscription up, SoundCloud would have kept all those 173 people. Just joking. That's Carla Jenkins, y'all. Make sure y'all follow her here. You know what? I'm on my phone, so I forgot to tell you guys. Make sure you click those 3 dots over in the chat and follow each other's channels, which I think all of you guys know each other. But Carla, I haven't seen her in a couple weeks, so you guys may not know about Carla. So make sure you're following her as well. And because Mick Bonsai is kind of new. So this is, your action plan. If you were on SoundCloud, run for the hills. Get in touch with Libsyn. Once you get into their supports, ask for Dave Jackson. Tell him you want to migrate. Ileane Smith sent you there. He knows me. I delete all my files on SoundCloud and close my account. Oh, Larry is bold. Boy, Larry ain't playing. Larry let me just get my stuff off of here before you... I'll let them host my stuff. I have the free plan over there, and all that stuff that's on SoundCloud is also on Spreaker, and it's on Libsyn, and somewhere else probably. Oh, Podbean. Actually, I got rid of Podbean. I would have recommended Podbean, but there's a couple things about Podbean that I didn't like, and I'm not going to go into it. Just go with my recommendations, okay, people? Spreaker, I follow all, and we'll check them out ASAP. Thanks, honey. That's Yankees Outdoor Adventures. And if you at all thinking about doing any kind of hiking or camping or any of that stuff this summer or in years to come, make sure you watch his whole channel. Just go through his archives. May I do the same regarding my SoundCloud account too? Oh, Carla says she may do the same thing that Larry did. Just delete all her files off of there. Because people are leaving in droves. So, and I mean, if you lay off 173 people, you kind of know that people are going to be... Now, I didn't finish this sentence earlier. Tachi, who does Mediascope, Dr. Tachi, okay, Tachi, make sure you follow her over on Anchor FM as well. She does Mediascope and she does media briefs over there on Anchor. So almost every day she's giving you a tech update. She's the one who told me about the TechCrunch article. Well, she didn't just tell me. She's telling everybody at Anchor. And she also is the one, well, as soon as I take my glasses off, here come a comment. Oh, yeah, I know, Tish, a lot of times you pull my coat. Not media boxers. How do you spell her name again? Tachi. Tachi. So over on Anchor, just search for, and that's anchor.fm. Just search for Tachi. I can't not give her a shout out. Oh, one more person you absolutely have to look for, and that's Avi. Avie. Avi does tech tips. Yes, Tachi for short. But her username on Anchor is Tachi. Okay, so yeah, it's Tachiata. But anyway, Avi has a whole series of tutorials. That's why I haven't had to do a tutorial about Anchor, because Avi Uniglicked, but you just look for Avi, Avie. If you could type that into the chat, Larry or Tish or anyone, Avie. Follow him on Anchor. He has all the tech tips about how to use Anchor. He's like the biggest advocate for the platform. Yep, thank you. What's a 411 TV? Thank you so much, dear. I really appreciate it. I'm drinking some water. Okay, so Tati is the one who told me about the TechCrunch article. She also told me about Chance the Rapper. And I don't remember all the details about this story. Okay, Chance the Rapper is, I'm pretty sure he won a Grammy. I don't listen to his music. I used to listen to rap music, so he kind of missed the boat for me, because right when I stopped listening, he came out. And anyway, he's working with them some kind of way, just some kind of deal. But guys, remember, that's on the music front. And, that's the thing. SoundCloud was trying to serve two masters. It was always really a platform for independent music. They should have stayed in their lane. And maybe they could have built a business model just around that. But you got all the podcasters, and y'all know whenever marketers come into anything, it gets ruined. We know that, right? Avi Uniglick, yes. I'm pretty sure that's how you spell his name. Thank you so much, Tish. And so, all the podcasters have their podcasts over there because why not? They got VAs to upload that stuff for them while they're asleep, right? So, and, I'm sub to you too. Oh, yeah. What's the 411 TV? Make sure you sub into everybody here. And yeah, you guys all have great channels too. So that's amazing. So, make sure that if you are thinking about podcasting, or if you just want to test the waters, or if you just want another cool place to hang out. See, the thing about, oh, you follow him on Twitter. Okay, great, Tish. The thing about Anchor is you don't even have to use it for your podcast ever. It is just like a cool place to hang out. You just find your peeps, you find your tribe, people that are talking about the stuff you want to hear about. And, there's some people over there that just talk about nothing, just talk about, I don't know, random. I won't say they're talking about nothing. They're talking about random things that may not have any kind of goals to it. It's just a conversation. It's a conversation you may have if you ran into some of your old high school pals, or, if you work at a big company and, I got you. Yankees Outdoors Adventure. Okay, good. What's the 411? I love connecting people. Yes. So what's the 411 and Yankees Outdoors Adventures are now following each other. And so that's wonderful because you guys are both amazing content creators. And so I'm sure that you will appreciate each other's content. Like water cooler talk. Yes, water cooler talk. And then there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not it's not always my cup of tea. But sometimes I find myself being pulled into that. You'll try to find everybody on Twitter. Yeah, everybody should have their Twitter linked on their homepage on YouTube. If you don't, make sure you do that later. Not right now, because I don't want y'all leaving. Larry's the only one was allowed to leave and go leave me a message and call into my station over on Anchor because he knows how to multitask. Everybody else, y'all stay right here. Okay, so yeah, it's a cool place to hang out, and I think you can meet some cool people. I've been over there for a week, and I already became friends with Avi. Remember, I told you Avi is like, have you done more than a 5-minute recording, and can you upload? And you can upload, correct? Okay, I don't mind. I don't think mine is linked. Okay, first let me admonish Yankees. Bad Yankee, bad Yankee. Get your Twitter account over there on your YouTube channel. Larry, your segment can only be 5 minutes. Even if you upload it, it can only be 5 minutes. But they play right after each other. So you just break it up into 2 different segments. There's not like a big lull. Like when somebody's actually listened to it, because you can scrub. When you're listening to people's, let's say somebody says something or you already heard it before. So you just scrub through. It's supposed to be 15 seconds. So it's no big deal to have, let's just say you have a 15-minute segment. I mean, you have a 15-minute piece of audio, right? And it could be a WAV file, an MP3, or M4A, or AAC. You can't beat that. So let's say you have this segment, right? So we have to serialize our content in Anchor FM into 5-minute segments. Yes. And so you have this 15-minute piece of audio already. You just break it down into 5-minute segments. If you put through to, it can make an interesting or valid point in 30 seconds easy. Absolutely. Because people that can call into you, they only get 1 minute. And so I've had responses. I've had people, and you can also leave somebody feedback without doing that 1 minute call in as well. You just have to let them know. You can actually put it on your channel and then let them know. You can give people shout outs. Oh, this is another great thing about Anchor. And in some ways, somebody said it reminds them of Blab. And this part is true. When you're done, you can go back. Remember, they only last for 24 hours, though. So you got to make sure you do this. You want to see who listened to your segment, you can just swipe up or you tap a little thing that says listeners and it'll show you everybody. So you'll know the people who are engaged with your content. Also, people can give each other applause, which is just like props or hearts in Periscope, props that we used to have in Blab. You just tap the screen and you give somebody applause, and that will show up in there. Yes, we're back in YouTube church. Thank you, Tish. That will show up in their notifications. And, they don't have to have notifications on their phone. Sorry, guys, I'm going to have to bail. Oh, my signal's not keeping up. Okay, thanks. Oh, you're down in the woods. Oh, man. You're brave. I felt like I went for a hike when I was watching Yankees show, and it was fun and it was good because I was really sitting in an air-conditioned office building. My understanding is Anchor does the splitting of the audio file. Oh, okay, Larry. Tish is too much. Larry, I don't know if there was a glitch. I tried to split the file today when I uploaded, and I actually mentioned this in my Anchor today. It didn't work. So I don't know what went wrong with that. So that's why I didn't say that they would split it. Because when I tried it today, it didn't work. I tried a couple days ago. It seemed like it worked fine. But today when I tried it, it didn't work. But they don't actually split it. They give the interface, you can trim it. Okay? So that's how that works. Now, if they're splitting it some other way, that's just something I don't know about. We have to ask Avi. And that's why his show is called Ask Avi. You just call in to Avi Uniglick, and honey, he would love it. He plays back every call in. I mean, sometimes people, you can tell they're not that familiar with using a mic, or they may be nervous because they're calling in the Avi show, and Avi doesn't care. He plays that whole thing, no matter how nervousy they may sound or whatever, because he is just one fantastic guy. Did you say that the upload only lasts for 24 hours? Unless you add it to an episode of your podcast. If you add it to an episode of your podcast, it stays there permanently, because it's just like, it'll be on iTunes for one thing, but it will also be within the app, the episodes. It depends upon if you already... Yeah, you're welcome, Larry. Like for me, yesterday, I had a topic. I was talking about Patreon yesterday. But I had so many call-ins that I kind of had to break up the conversation about Patreon and put the other call-ins. Because, if somebody calls into your show, they know they called in. They know you're on. Hi, Ram Tweets. They know you're on because, you're broadcasting, right? You're posting stuff. And then they're probably sitting there thinking, dag, she won't even post my call-in. So you just have to stray away from talking about your topic. Play the call and respond to it. Maybe play a little clip. You can add music. Remember, I told you can connect Spotify or your iTunes, your Apple, whatever. I don't have Apple Music. I deleted it off my phone. But anyway. But then when it's time for you to create the episode for your podcast, you don't include that. If it's off topic or if it's just out of place with your episode. But yet everybody on Anchor heard it. The person, or everybody who follows you anyway, the person knows that you acknowledge them. Not today, Ram. I will say just follow. There's 2 people I recommend that you follow for SEO of YouTube. And that will be Darrell Eves. That's DerralEves. Darrell Eves. He's one of my patrons over on Patreon, by the way. Shout out, Darrell. And Roberto Blake. Roberto Blake. Those are the 2 people you follow for YouTube SEO. I leave it up to the professionals. Okay? SEO has never been my thing. Yes, Roberto Blake is the truth. Yes, Blake, no E on the end of, and no C. Blake. Roberto, Blake. You're welcome, Ram Tweets. You're very, very welcome. But yeah, I know a little bit. I co-sign on the SEO follows. All right, what's the 411 TV? I mean, look, you know what I said earlier? Stay in my lane. I'm in my lane. You will not see a video on there, on this channel that says YouTube SEO. Well, maybe, but it was an old one. I probably need to make it unlisted if it's there. Guys, I'm sorry. I just realized that I had my water bottle over by my mic. Sorry. So, all right, let's do a quick recap because we're coming up to the hour. And I know some of you probably were wondering, was I going to go live this weekend or not? Yeah. And so I did it on Sunday. Well, next week, it will be on Saturday because next Saturday is hashtag super cute Saturday. So I might as well do it on Saturday and get it all over with. Okay, quick recap. SoundCloud has announced that they're laying off 173 employees and closing their offices in San Francisco and London. If you're hosting your podcast on SoundCloud, you need to get an alternative. I recommend two alternatives. Both of them have free versions. Well, one of them is completely free at the moment. The other one has freemium business model. You can start off on the free plan and upgrade for more options like stats. And that's Spreaker. Spreaker is my number one recommendation because that is good for anyone, whether they want to just be on the free version or if they want a real podcast that can be uploaded, or actually that can be lots of optimization videos though. Yes, optimization, but not SEO. Oh gosh. Yes, let me try to get back. Bring it back about Spreaker. Because there's something else even though I said that Anchor lets you see the people that viewed your content, at the bottom of that list, after you go through the people that are on Anchor, you'll see 10 web viewers. Well, you have no idea who those web viewers are. You don't know what country they're in or any of that stuff. You don't know how they found it. You don't know if it came from Twitter or if you shared it on Facebook and then they listened to it. You don't know. You just know the people on Anchor and a random number from the web. Whereas Spreaker does give you some stats. Spreaker also lets you record from your desktop. They have a standalone app that you can download onto your computer, which is like a DJ booth. So you can record, because Spreaker does have a lot of musicians there as well. But the difference with Spreaker was they dedicated themselves to podcasting when they hired Rob Greenlee, or even before they hired Rob Greenlee. But hiring Rob Greenlee just sealed the deal because Rob Greenlee is one of the legends of podcasting. And he used to work at Microsoft when Microsoft used to care about podcasting. And right now, not so much. But, so Rob knows the industry probably better than anybody because he's been on so many different sides of the fence. So, we have Anchor.fm. Follow me there. Anchor.fm/Ileane. And Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com/Ileane. Follow me there too, or it might be Miss Ileane Speaks. Either way, just look for ILEANE. And look, guys, you may not even thought that you could do a podcast. I love Anchor because Anchor is a place where you're going to feel good about using the mic and using the app, I should say. about getting on the mic, about putting your thoughts out there, because you're going to get feedback from the community. There's a lot of folks that are over there that are not really thinking about podcasting. They just want to post their segments, and until you make it an episode, it doesn't go to the podcast. It's just a segment. And that segment lasts for the 24 hours. And after that, it's gone. And there's people that come on there every day. And that's just what they do. And, of course, there's YouTubers over there as well. There's marketers. There's musicians. There's artists. There's gardeners. The whole gamut of people. And trust me, now that Roberto Blake has done a video about it, Brian Fanzo mentioned it on his podcast, Joe Calm has been coming over there. There's going to be, Gary Vee was interviewed, and Gary Vee is a big advocate of the platform. So there's going to be more and more folks coming over there. So I'm sure you're going to find your tribe there. And so it's a great way to just dip your toes into the waters and decide if you want to get a real serious podcast, and then you go and host with Libsyn. Okay? Any more questions? You guys ran out of questions for me. I went a whole minute and a half without putting my glasses on. I also think that the easy uploading to iTunes is a big selling point with Anchor. Well, yeah, you don't have to upload anything to iTunes. You just tell them that you want a podcast. They ask you to name your podcast, your description of your podcast. They use your profile image. So if you want to put another image up there instead of your profile image, you put that. And they do it. And then you get an email and they say, oh, we're submitting your podcast to iTunes. And I think I submitted mine maybe on a Friday. I remember it being it took 2 days. And then I was like, oh, yeah, because it was a weekend. And it was like that Monday or that Tuesday, bam, it was there. So I've been in iTunes all week. Again, so there's 2 podcasts out there, Miss Ileane. Just look at the date. If you see the dates, one says 2015. No, 2016. And the other one says 2017. And so, the updated content is the one. Marketers are going to run it because they ruin everything. Nah, I don't think so this time, Larry. I don't think so. I don't see marketers ruin it, because marketers are not going to like the fact, after you get your iTunes podcast, what's the process of migrating some of your SoundCloud or non-Anchor FM files. You don't want to migrate from SoundCloud to Anchor. You want to migrate from SoundCloud to Libsyn. Okay? Because if you already had an established podcast and you've already got a back catalog, you don't want to just upload that stuff over into Anchor. Anchor is more, I don't want to say real time. It's not like you're live, but it's more about real time. People don't really care about your archives. They want to have conversations with you about what's going on now. And remember, and you may have missed this, Carla, so I'll repeat it one more time. So get a pencil or try to remember. I don't know if you have a good memory if you're like me, because I've already went off on 18 tangents so far. You're going to use, if you're going to sign up for Libsyn, my friend Dave Jackson, he also works for Libsyn. He's in their support team. Ask for him to help you migrate, okay? Because there's other folks over there in support, but just ask for Dave and say that Ileane sent you. And you're going to use his code to get 1 month free. And his code is SOP free. SOP free. That stands for School of Podcasting. That's his other podcast, School of Podcasting. So it's SOP free. That gives you 1 month free of hosting on Libsyn. So you really have nothing to lose. So they will help you. Good. They will help you. And Dave Jackson, write that down too. They will help you to migrate your show. And I know they have instructions there, and they may just send you to the instructions, okay? And that's okay too. But if you run into any snags, then that's when you want to ask for Dave, okay? And I was just talking with him yesterday. Well, I was in the audience on Ask the Podcast Coach. So that equates into I was talking to him because he was reading out my comments. Just like I'm reading out yours. Just like I can say, oh yeah, I was talking to Carla yesterday. Like tomorrow I'll say that. And if you're on Anchor, I'll probably be talking to you later on tonight, child. So check out Anchor. If you want to, you're right now, you want to think about starting a podcast, you can start with Spreaker, Libsyn, or Blueberry. But if you have an existing back catalog, so that means you're already serious about podcasting, you've already been doing it for a while, then you want to migrate from your SoundCloud over to Libsyn for sure. But if you just want to hang out, have fun, and, get some inspiration from some of the folks over there who are doing some amazing things, then you want to check out Anchor FM. And you can hang out with me, and I have fun. I love it. I've been playing with it all week. That's why I'm so late with this video. That's a shame about SoundCloud. Well, yeah, it is. I mean, it's kind of a lesson to us, guys. And can you do this other platform? Can you do other? Okay, see now, Blog Talk Radio. I don't know that you can migrate. Blog Talk Radio, from what I understand, there's a problem, but you can talk to Dave about it. Because Dave was actually in talks with the, I'm going to say he was a VP over there at Blog Talk Radio. But Blog Talk Radio, they don't really like to let you take your RSS feed and migrate it somewhere else. They don't like you to do that. Now, maybe that has changed. But I got to say, folks, please don't use Blog Talk Radio. You could do better on Anchor. And you could do interviews on Anchor. And Spreaker. Okay? So I know Blog Talk Radio seemed like the easy thing at the time. I have a friend. I'm not going to say her name. But she wanted to interview me on her Blog Talk Radio. Okay? So I said, okay, well, let me listen to your show so I could see what some of your interviews were like. So I went over to listen to her show, and she's amazing. I love her to death. I mean, she's very dynamic, very well spoken. She's quick as a whip. Her Facebook Lives are off the hook. And she plays music, so that, not the popular music, right? Because you can't play copyright music. So she's playing like some local artist or whatever. Or maybe she is playing other songs on it. I can't remember. But she does a lot of talking, then she plays a song. Then she does more talking, then she plays some song. I don't know how long she goes back and forth with doing that before she gets to bring on her guests, because I couldn't take it anymore. I had things to do. And you cannot fast forward. You can't scrub through. So I couldn't not listen to all these, local artists she was playing, and her conversation, which was about social media, which she was talking stuff, of course, that I already know, right? So I downloaded my Blog Talk Radio files. I haven't used the RSS feed. Oh, good. Then yes, yeah, you can do that with Libsyn as well. So, who doesn't let you fast forward? Like, what? They just fixed that on Anchor, and Anchor's only 5-minute segments. But I mean, this podcast is like a 45-minute podcast. I can't sit there for 45 minutes and I'm just listening to it. Oh, you're learning so much here. Oh, thanks, Carla. That's such a nice compliment that you're learning so much. You're welcome. I can't take 45 minutes out of my day when I'm just listening to see what your interview is like. It's not like I even really want to listen to your show. YouTube Live as alternatives to SoundCloud is very timely. Thanks. Oh, thank you. I would for you, Ileane. Oh, thanks, Tish. Well, Tish, it's not that I didn't want to listen to her. What's the 411 TV? Very timely, says Carla Jenkins. Yeah, it's not that I didn't want to listen to her. That wasn't it. It was just that I was busy. So I just wanted to get to the point where I could hear what the flow of the interview. You know what I'm saying? and I couldn't get to the interview. And it was like, it's not that serious. I really don't need to be on her show that bad. I like to give back. I like to, but if she was doing on any platform besides Blog Talk Radio, and I even told her that. So, oh, and it's not even her show. It's hosted as part of a network on some other something or other. And so, yeah, and I'm hoping and praying. And if she listens to this, watches this video, this is very timely because July is the first month of the quarter of the year and people are calibrating their content. Yes, recalibrating their content. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, and if she's listening, and I love you dearly, if you are listening to this in the replay, I just strongly advise you to get your own show. Well said, Carla, says Tish. Get your own show because you are the one that people want to hear. And being part of a network, it all sounds good. And maybe, Blog Talk Radio might tell you that you're getting thousands and thousands of views. Maybe. But in my opinion, and I can be wrong, but in my opinion, I think that being your own show host, having your own show, you probably can go further, faster, and get more out of it. But anyway, guys, you are, even though Blog Talk Radio is not where most of you guys are, Carla's doing the right thing by downloading her files, and she's going to later on upload them up to Libsyn. So that's absolutely awesome. And break them up into 5-minute segments. This week I was going to upload to SoundCloud, Libsyn, and iTunes. Now I can knock SoundCloud off the list. You can. I have lost you. No sound, and the screen is frozen. Darn it. Well, I was getting ready to shut this down anyway, so you're all right. It's about creative content. Also, when you control your show, you control distribution. So Carla's still hearing me. Tish, are you still hearing me too? Oh, it's back on. Okay, so maybe that was just a little bump in the internet. Actually, the ice cream truck just rolled by, so maybe they were messing with my signal. You can see me and hear me clearly now. So, guys, because you're still here, I want to let you know the reason why I'm doing this on my phone and I'm not doing any screen shares is because YouTube for the last 2 weeks went wonky on me when I was doing screen shares at the end of my video. Now, you won't be able to see because I actually trimmed off the video, that last video from last week, but the one from 2 weeks ago, the ice truck is letting you know it's National Ice Cream Day. Woohoo, I should get a cone. So that's why I said, you know what? This conversation is one that I need to have today. And so I'm just going to do it on my phone. And this way, maybe by next week, YouTube will have it all straight because Tish had mentioned that Stephen Healy had problems with his YouTube Live. And I don't know if other folks are having the problem as well. I don't have time to research all that. All I know is I said, you know what? I can do this from my phone. And you guys are so cool. You're hanging in there with me. Tish was there in the beginning when I had a false start, when the phone was in portrait mode, and I didn't want that. And I'm glad you bear with me, Tish, while I turn everything around. So YouTube changed the timing of when you're supposed to turn the phone around. Or maybe I just don't remember from the last time because, I'm not as young as I used to be. So anyway, next Saturday, probably in this time of day or closer to 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you contact me and let me know what you want me to talk about. Hit me up on Anchor. Thanks, Tish. Hit me up on Anchor or leave me a comment on this video and let me know, hey, Ileane, I wish you would talk about such and such a topic. As long as it's in my wheelhouse, we'll cover it next Saturday. Okay? So with that, guys, I'm going to bid you adieu. Thanks so much. If you want to think about joining the community over on Patreon, we support each other over there. We're like this last couple weeks, The comments have been flowing in over there and people giving me feedback on the content and everything. So I absolutely love it, and I think you guys do too. So it's Ileane. It's patreon.com/Ileane. Patreon.com/Ileane. Tish, thank you so much too. And you guys have a wonderful day and a week ahead. Love ya.